Hello and welcome to Z Pandem with Divyasri K Bagrodia. I'm extremely excited to have Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai here. He is one of India's leading journalists and a best-selling author. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 2008 and has received prestigious awards in journalism. Mr. Sardesai is an alumnus of the University of Oxford. Welcome to Z Pandem, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So, as we all know, there has been a lot of noise about the pandemic on television news, social media, digital media, and WhatsApp, and so on, about the science behind the pandemic. For example, the spread of the virus, the possible cures and vaccines, about the political and economic decisions around managing the pandemic. And we have also seen a lot of controversies across the world on the role of China, the WHO, the response of global medical authorities to the existing drugs and cures. So, sir, how do you see the interplay between science, politics, and the news media play out?
Look, let me be honest. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. And what has happened is that I think, in a way, the pandemic has been a wake-up call for the news media. For much too long, the news media was living in this comfortable cocoon of its own, and public health issues in particular were far away from its focus. Issues of medical preparedness, of the state of our hospitals, of facilities for doctors, nurses. Now we are remembering that doctors and nurses are corona warriors. But how much did we actually raise issues of medical, of the facilities that are available to them in our hospitals, the state of primary healthcare centers in this country? I think the pandemic is forcing us slowly to put public health on the top of the agenda. And I think that is an important reset that we need as journalists, as news media, as society.
Absolutely.
I think society, why does it take, it's like the environment. It requires a serious pollution crisis in Delhi for people to recognize the environment should be a big issue of our times, and so should climate change. Similarly, in my view, Corona is forcing us to focus on public health. And I think public health is a huge issue in our times.
Right, so in this era of deep fake and artificial intelligence, so where do you see the news industry heading towards?
Look, I think one of the challenges of our times is that how do we provide accurate, credible information? That's because we are in this multimedia age where you get bombarded with all kinds of information, especially and all of it in real time. You're sitting on a WhatsApp and you're part of a WhatsApp group and you'll get 10 videos and 10 forwards. And how do you verify it? So I think the challenge of our times is to verify the news. And therefore, I think news, anyone in the media needs to first focus on how do I become not just a teller of news, but also a gatekeeper of news. I think it is very important to have gatekeepers now who can use technology intelligently to separate fake news from authentic news. So I think there'll be a huge space in the future for those who are what I call fake news busters. I think there'll be a huge space for fake news busters in the future. And that would be that's one role. And the other role is to use technology intelligently, like you are at the moment, to just communicate with people.
Right, sir. So, as you just mentioned that at a time like this, where none of us actually know the veracity of news, so how do you think Gen Z can be better prepared and better informed?
I think Gen Z, first of all, has to read a little bit more than they do. I'm not generalizing here, but I often find that Gen Z wants instant opinion. This is the Snapchat generation, right? Everything you want is you want every news to be given to you in short doses. So I think Gen Z must build the capacity to read and thereby become much more informed. Must be able to uh, authentic. Well, I won't say that they have to authenticate the news, but please go to authentic websites or authentic news. I mean, I think Gen Z has to value credibility more than sensation. Just don't go to get titillated, on TikTok with some TikTok video. There's a life beyond a TikTok video, so please be ready to read much more, get yourself more informed, and focus on
Right.
on credible news outlets.
Right, sir. We should make that change. We must make that change. So, do you have any advice for Gen Z of how we can take this forward?
Look, I think Gen Z has a huge opportunity because Gen Z, you are very technologically friendly. And you must use
Yes,
that tech friendly spirit to connect with each other, build, let's say, groups. Why can't you have a WhatsApp group or a blog site which focuses on public health issues or environment? This is an opportunity for all of you to create your own platforms. Don't rely on any large media platform. Create your own platforms, your own communities, which will focus on issues like public health. I think
yes, sir.
you can easily do it using technology. So you are the techno-friendly generation. Use technology to start building communities of people who may be interested in these issues.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We will definitely implement that for sure. So, although I don't follow cricket, but I'm sure a lot of my viewers do. So, sir, do you have something to say about the future of cricket over the next couple of years post this pandemic?
Look, I think the future of sport itself is something that troubles me greatly as a sports fan, because the idea that you can play sport without fans, without crowd, seems like, this week would be Wimbledon week. To not see Wimbledon is terrible.
I know.
And end of June, early July. So I think live sport will come back. I think everything will come back once we have a vaccine. I think that's going to take 12 to 18 months. So this is the year. We should, even sports should treat this as a time to press the pause button. Look at how far sports has gone in commercializing itself, and maybe as a result robbed some of us of the romance of the sport. So maybe, sports will bounce back. Look, I have no doubt that society will bounce back. Man's capacity to bounce back is huge. So I don't think we should be depressed about the fact that at the moment there is no sport, or even if we are, remember that this too will pass. And I think that's a good attitude to take in general during the pandemic. Look at life in the
Yes, sir.
pandemic a week at a time.
Thank you, sir. We will definitely put that forth. So, do you have any closing words about my initiatives, Z Pandem?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think your generation, people like you, should use technology, build platforms, create interactivity, and communicate with as many people as possible. This is the age of communication. This is the age of communication using technology cleverly. Uh, you don't need a lot of, you don't need large amounts of money. What you need is intelligence. So I think, and if you can communicate with every school kid in Mumbai through your initiative, that in your class group, that'll be fantastic.
Hopefully, so that's actually what we're looking at.
And all the very best, my friend. Do well.
Thank you, sir.